This is Max and Mia Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Max and Mia, the podcast where we explore everyday English conversations. I'm Max.
And I'm Mia. Today we're diving into one of the most common questions you'll hear in English-speaking countries. What do you like to do?
Exactly. Whether you're meeting new people at work, chatting with neighbors, or making friends at university, this question always comes up. And trust me, your answer can lead to some really interesting conversations.
We've got some fantastic real-life examples for you today. You'll hear people talking about their hobbies, favorite foods, weekend activities, and those little things that make them happy.
The best part? These aren't scripted conversations. They're natural, spontaneous chats that will help you understand how native speakers really talk about their interests and preferences.
So grab your headphones, get comfortable, and let's discover what people around the world enjoy doing in their free time. Are you ready to improve your listening skills while learning about some cool activities?
Let's jump right in with our first conversation.
So, Tom, what do you enjoy doing when you're not surrounded by books all day?
Well, that's the thing. I actually collect vintage postcards. I know it sounds a bit unusual, but there's something magical about holding a piece of history that someone wrote decades ago.
Wait, really? That's actually fascinating. How did you get into that?
It started when I found this old postcard from 1952 in a used book. It had this sweet message from a grandmother to her grandson, and I couldn't throw it away. Now I have over 300 postcards from around the world.
That's incredible. I bet you've learned so much about different places and time periods.
Absolutely. What about you? I'm guessing you do something creative outside of work, too?
You'd be surprised. I'm really into urban sketching. I wander around the city with my sketchbook and draw whatever catches my eye. Street performers, interesting architecture, people waiting for buses.
No way. That sounds amazing. Do you ever feel awkward drawing people in public?
At first, definitely, but most people are actually flattered when they notice. I've had some wonderful conversations with strangers because of it. There was this elderly man feeding pigeons last week, and when he saw me sketching him, he told me stories about how the neighborhood has changed over 40 years.
That's beautiful. It's like you're documenting the city's soul. Do you have a favorite spot to sketch?
The farmer's market on Saturday mornings is pure gold. So much character, vendors arranging their colorful produce, families choosing fresh bread, dogs trying to sneak treats. There's never a dull moment.
I love that. Speaking of food, I've gotten really into fermentation lately. I know, it sounds weird, but making my own kimchi and kombucha has become this relaxing ritual.
Wait, you make kimchi? That's on my bucket list. I've been intimidated by all the steps involved.
It's actually simpler than you'd think. The hardest part is waiting for it to ferment properly. But there's something satisfying about creating these complex flavors from basic ingredients. Plus, my kitchen always smells like, well, let's say it's an acquired scent.
I can imagine. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy because I talk to my plants while I'm gardening on my balcony.
You garden too? What kind of things do you grow?
Mostly herbs and some cherry tomatoes. But here's the embarrassing part. I genuinely believe talking to them helps them grow better. I give them daily pep talks and play classical music for them on weekends.
That's not embarrassing. That's adorable. Some studies actually suggest plants respond to vibrations and attention. You might be onto something scientific there.
See? I'm not completely nuts. Although, my basil plants haven't started talking back yet, so maybe I need to work on my technique.
Maybe they're just shy. What kind of music do they prefer?
Apparently, they're fans of Bach and Vivaldi. Jazz makes my mint plants grow a bit too wild, if you know what I mean.
I love how passionate you are about this. You know what? I've been wanting to start a small herb garden for my cooking experiments. Maybe you could give me some tips sometime.
Absolutely. And I'd love to see your postcard collection. Do you have any from unusual places?
Oh, I have some gems. There's one from a remote lighthouse in Scotland that someone sent to their sweetheart in 1963. The stamp alone is worth more than I paid for the whole collection.
That sounds like it has an amazing story behind it. I bet each postcard is like a tiny window into someone's life.
Exactly. That's what I love most about collecting them. It's not just about the objects. It's about the human connections and stories they represent.
You know what? I think we both appreciate the beauty in everyday moments, just in different ways. You preserve them, and I capture them.
I couldn't have said it better myself. This has been such a refreshing conversation, Sarah.
Agreed. It's so nice to meet someone who has genuine passions beyond the usual stuff everyone talks about.
Wow, that was such a genuine conversation. Did you notice how Sarah and Tom weren't just listing their hobbies? They were actually storytelling.
Exactly. When Tom mentioned his postcard collection, he didn't just say, "I collect postcards." He painted a picture. He talked about finding that first one in 1952, the sweet message from a grandmother. That's what made it captivating.
And Sarah did the same thing. Instead of saying, "I like drawing," she said, "I wander around the city and draw whatever catches my eye." She made it visual and personal. That's a crucial difference for our listeners to understand.
Here's something really important that happened. They both showed vulnerability. Sarah admitted she felt awkward sketching people at first, and Tom joked about his kitchen smelling weird from fermentation. Sharing small, embarrassing moments actually builds connection.
I loved that. And notice how they used self-deprecating humor? Sarah called herself completely nuts for talking to plants, and Tom said his hobby sounds weird. This kind of gentle self-mockery is very common in English-speaking cultures.
But here's the brilliant part. They immediately supported each other. When Sarah felt embarrassed about talking to plants, Tom said, "That's not embarrassing, that's adorable," and even mentioned scientific backing. That's what good conversations do.
Speaking of support, did you catch how they asked follow-up questions that went deeper? Not just, "That's cool," and moving on. Tom asked about Sarah's favorite sketching spots, and she asked about unusual postcards in his collection.
Those follow-up questions are gold for learners. They show genuine interest. Notice the difference between "do you have postcards" versus "do you have any from unusual places?" The second one invites storytelling.
And here's something our listeners should pay attention to. They found common ground without having identical interests. Sarah sketches moments. Tom preserves them through postcards. They connected the dots between their different passions.
That's sophisticated conversation skill right there. They didn't need to say, "Oh, I love postcards too." Instead, Sarah said, "You preserve them and I capture them." She found the underlying similarity.
I also want to highlight their use of sensory language. Tom talked about his kitchen's acquired scent. Sarah mentioned colorful produce at the farmer's market. They weren't just telling, they were helping the other person experience their hobbies.
And notice how they transitioned between topics? Sarah smoothly moved from sketching to her balcony garden by mentioning neighbors. These weren't random topic jumps. They felt natural and connected.
Here's something that might surprise our listeners. They interrupted each other a few times, but in positive ways. When Tom mentioned kimchi, Sarah immediately jumped in with, "That's on my bucket list." These interruptions showed excitement, not rudeness.
Great point. In many cultures, waiting for complete silence before speaking is polite, but in casual English conversations, enthusiastic interruptions often show you're engaged and interested.
Now, let's talk about something they did that was pure conversation magic. They offered to help each other. Tom wanted gardening tips. Sarah wanted to see his postcard collection. They created future connection opportunities.
That's how you turn a first meeting into a potential friendship. They weren't just sharing information, they were building bridges for future interactions.
And finally, and this is crucial for our listeners, they ended on a reflective note. Sarah said they both appreciate beauty in everyday moments. That kind of summary statement shows you've been truly listening and thinking about what the person shared.
Exactly. It's not just about talking about your own interests. It's about finding the deeper themes that connect human experiences. That's what transforms small talk into meaningful conversation.
So, for our listeners practicing these conversations, remember, tell stories, not lists. Ask questions that invite elaboration. Show vulnerability and support others when they do the same. And always look for those deeper connections between seemingly different interests.
Perfect advice, Mia. Now, let's hear our second conversation where someone shares what they're passionate about in a completely different setting.
Mind if I sit here? The other tables are packed today.
Of course. I'm David, by the way. I just started in the IT department last week.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jessica from marketing. How are you settling in so far?
It's been a whirlwind, honestly. Everyone's been super welcoming, but I'm still figuring out the coffee machine and our break room.
Oh, that ancient beast on the third floor? Here's a pro tip. You have to press the button twice and wait exactly 10 seconds, or it'll give you something that barely resembles coffee.
Good to know. I was starting to think I'd broken it yesterday. So, what do you usually do during your lunch breaks? I'm still exploring the neighborhood.
Well, when the weather's nice, like today, I actually take salsa dancing lessons at the community center across the street. They have these amazing drop-in classes every Tuesday and Thursday.
Wait, salsa dancing? During lunch? That's brilliant. I never would have thought to do something like that in the middle of the workday.
Right? It started because I was feeling so drained after morning meetings. Sitting at a desk all day was killing my energy. The dancing completely flips that around. I come back to work feeling refreshed and creative.
That makes total sense. I've been feeling that afternoon slump lately. How did you even discover these classes?
Pure accident, actually. I was grabbing a sandwich at the deli next door and heard this incredible music coming from the community center. I peeked in, saw all these people laughing and spinning around, and thought, why not?
That's awesome that you just went for it. Were you nervous the first time?
Terrified. I had 2 left feet and kept apologizing to my dance partners. But the instructor, Maria, is this tiny woman with endless patience. She made everyone feel comfortable, even the complete beginners like me.
How long have you been going now?
About 6 months. I'm definitely not ready for any competitions, but I can actually follow the basic steps without stepping on anyone's toes. What about you? Any hidden talents or hobbies I should know about?
Well, I've been getting into bread baking recently. I know it sounds pretty tame compared to salsa dancing.
Are you kidding? That's fantastic. There's something so satisfying about creating something delicious from scratch. What kind of bread do you make?
I started with simple white bread, but now I'm experimenting with sourdough. I've got this starter that I've been feeding for 3 months. My roommate thinks I've lost my mind because I talk to it.
You talk to your sourdough starter?
Just encouraging words. Come on, little bubbles, you can do it. It actually seems to help with the fermentation process, though. That might be in my head.
That's adorable. And honestly, if it works, who cares if it's scientifically proven? I bet your bread tastes amazing.
It's getting better. The smell when it's baking fills the entire apartment. There's nothing quite like pulling a perfect loaf out of the oven.
Now I'm craving fresh bread. Do you ever bring any to share?
Actually, I made way too much focaccia last weekend. I could bring some tomorrow if you'd like to try it.
That would be incredible. And hey, if you ever want to try salsa dancing, you should come with me sometime. Maria always says new faces are welcome.
You know what? I might just take you up on that. Fair warning, though, I might step on your feet.
Trust me, we've all been there. Plus, after dealing with that coffee machine upstairs, you can handle anything.
Deal. Bread for dance lessons. Sounds like a perfect trade.
I love it. It's so nice to meet someone who's passionate about creating things. Whether it's bread or learning new moves, it all adds richness to life.
Absolutely. Thanks for making me feel so welcome, Jessica. This has been the highlight of my week so far.
That conversation was a masterclass in workplace relationship building. Did you notice how Jessica immediately offered practical help with the coffee machine? That's such a smart icebreaker.
Yes, she didn't just sympathize with David's struggle, she gave him a concrete solution. Press the button twice, wait 10 seconds. That kind of specific help makes someone feel truly welcomed.
And here's something crucial for our listeners working in English-speaking environments. David admitted he was struggling. He said, "It's been a whirlwind, and I'm still figuring out the coffee machine." Showing you need help actually invites connection.
Exactly. Many learners think they should pretend everything's perfect, but vulnerability opens doors. Jessica responded with empathy and practical advice, not judgment.
I loved how they both shared their quirky sides without embarrassment. Jessica admitted being terrified during her first dance class, and David confessed to talking to his sourdough starter. These personal details create real bonds.
And notice the reciprocity. When Jessica shared something personal, David matched that level of openness. When one person takes a small social risk, the other should follow suit. That's how trust builds.
Here's a workplace communication gem. They made concrete future plans. Not just, "We should hang out sometime," but "I could bring focaccia tomorrow," and "You should come dancing with me." Specific invitations show genuine interest.
Plus, they found mutual benefit. Jessica gets to try homemade bread, David gets a dance partner. The best workplace friendships happen when people can genuinely help each other, not just make small talk.
For our listeners, this shows that workplace conversations can go beyond "How was your weekend?" You can share real interests and hobbies. Just keep it positive and inclusive.
And remember, asking, "How did you discover that?" or "What got you started?" shows you're interested in this person's journey, not just their current activity. Those questions lead to the best stories.
And that wraps up today's episode on What Do You Like to Do? We heard some amazing conversations, from vintage postcard collecting to lunchtime salsa dancing. These weren't just conversations about hobbies. They were perfect examples of how sharing your passions can create genuine connections with people. Whether you're meeting someone new or building workplace friendships, authenticity always wins.
Remember what we learned today. Tell stories, not just lists. Ask follow-up questions that show real interest. And don't be afraid to share those quirky details that make you unique, like talking to your sourdough starter.
Or playing classical music for your plants. Those personal touches are what make conversations memorable and help people connect with the real you.
If you found today's episode helpful, we'd absolutely love it if you could subscribe to Max and Mia. It really helps us reach more English learners like you who want to improve their conversation skills.
And hey, leave us a comment. Tell us about your own interesting hobbies or share a conversation tip that's worked for you. We read every single one, and your experiences might inspire our next episode.
Next week, we're diving into making plans with friends. You'll learn how to suggest activities, handle scheduling conflicts, and make firm commitments that actually happen.
It's going to be fantastic. Until then, keep practicing those conversation skills and remember, everyone has fascinating stories to share. You just need to ask the right questions.
Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm Mia.
And I'm Max. Keep learning, keep connecting, and we'll see you next time on Max and Mia.